Test, test, test. Test, test. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Sterling, to both those in person and online. My name is Rosalie Clavet, and I am honored to serve this congregation as coordinator of the Worship Associate team. This morning's service, titled "Can We Start Again, Please?", is led by Chaplain Jennifer Springsteen, who's here on my right. We open with the gathering hymn, 1051, We Are. And we are missing our music director and our accompanist this morning. We have a video, which, and this one is a little bit like a performance. So sing along as you can. The words will be on the screen. And for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are. Morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreams. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust, and the sons of great nations. We are mothers of love. We are lovers of life and builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and givers of faith. We are makers of peace and wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreams. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the spirit of God. We shall wait on makers of faith. We are makers of peace and wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreams. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the spirit of God. And for the morning sun rises and sings to the universe who we are. Each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. A little challenging.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you had a lovely holiday season. In fact, continues on through the rest of the week. But again, welcome to this place of fellowship and peace, renewal, and deepening engagement and reflection. My name is Jack Kazurigian, and it is my honor to serve this congregation as a member of the Board of Trustees. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever your identity, age, ability, or history, know that you are welcome to bring your full self here. I have a few announcements. On Thursday, January 8th at 6 p.m., here at UCS. We will have a Soups On event where it's a gathering for over a meal, a warm bowl of soup, to help share our warmth with our community right here. On Sunday, January 11th at 11:15, immediately following service, we will have a social justice hybrid meeting. If you cannot make it in person, we will also have this on Zoom. And we will talk about our social justice work throughout all our activities here at UCS. Further on in the month of January, on Friday, January 23rd at 6 p.m., we will have a karaoke and pizza night. That would be held here. Yes, someone's already excited and already signed up. We're all invited to come and join in a fun night of music, singing, and maybe dancing, as well as food and fellowship. If you are a visitor, we are so glad that you are here. You were invited to join us here in person or speak with one of us on the board to speak about Unitarian Universalism. Unfortunately, we will not have a virtual coffee hour after service today. But nonetheless, feel free to reach out to us to learn more about our Unitarian Universalism faith. Also, it is my honor to introduce this Sunday's leader of our worship service, Chaplain Jennifer Springsteen. She graduated from the Unitarian Universalist Seminary of Star King School for the Ministry, and that's based in Oakland, California. Currently, she's the Star Chaplain at Nova Loudoun Hospital, and she's the affiliate minister at Unitarian Universalist Church of Loudoun County. She also describes herself as a writer and an educator. Jennifer resides with her husband Joe and her cats Sam and Melly in Leesburg. She also enjoys funneling love and money to her daughter Charlotte, who's a junior at the University of Mary Washington. So it is our pleasure for you to join us today. Thank you. Finally, I invite you to share a greeting with those around you, both to those whom you know and those whom you have yet to meet. So please mingle.
Let us now share worship with reverence and authenticity.
Let's share our invocation. Please join me. This is another day we have been given. This is indeed a sacred day. Let us be grateful for the capacity to sense, feel, and understand. Let us be grateful for the incredible gift of life, and let us be especially grateful for the ties of love which bind us together, giving dignity, meaning, worth, and joy to all of our days.
In the words of Paul Sprecher, we light this chalice to honor the teachings of Jesus, the love of neighbor and God, the command to care for the least of these, and the kingdom of heaven, the beloved community which he proclaimed. I hope the divine and the great mystery, the spirit of life and of love finds us here with our common purpose and commitment to one another in this beloved sanctuary of like minds and hearts. Let's dwell for a time with one another with the source of all love that hasn't forgotten us today. Let us be reminded of that in this blessed hour. Well, let's rise and sing number 352 in our gray hymnal, Find a Stillness.
Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. All those who are young of body or who are feeling young of spirit this morning or who are accompanying them are invited to come forward to hear a story. And this morning, there is something in the wonder box. There's another picture. And in a moment, I think you're going to see one of these pictures up on the screen. And the pictures show you shepherds and sheep. And this morning's story is about a shepherd. And this is as told by Erica Hewitt. Jesus was a teacher long ago of love and compassion. When Jesus spoke to his followers, It was often about how to share more, love more, and forgive more. Jesus also talked a lot about the great unfolding mystery named love. He called it God, the way many other people do. Sometimes Jesus' followers needed help to understand his teachings, so he told stories to help them understand. We call those parables. This is one of the parables that Jesus told his followers. It's about a shepherd. And a shepherd is that person who cares for the sheep and who makes sure that their bellies are full and that they're safe from creatures who might try to harm them. Because a lot of other creatures would hurt the sheep if they could. In the days when Jesus told this story, a shepherd wouldn't have had a fancy pen or corral for her sheep. There was no fence to create a big space for her flock. Instead, she would have had to take her sheep out into the hills to fill their bellies. And in many places, that's still the custom that is practiced in caring for sheep. In this parable, the shepherd didn't have just 1 or 4 or 10 sheep. She had 100 sheep, a whole lot of sheep. And can you imagine how loud they would be and how smelly if they were all right here with us in this room? At the beginning of each day, the shepherd took all 100 sheep to the hills of green grass and counted to make sure they were all there. At the end of the day, she brought them home again, counting to make sure that all 100 sheep had come home. The shepherd came home one night, counted her sheep, and saw only 99 instead of 100. She counted again to make sure, and then again. And even though it was cold and dark, and there were critters in the hills that might hurt a shepherd too, she left the 99 sheep who were safe at home and went out to find the lost sheep who was in danger. When Jesus told his parable to his followers, he was trying to tell them 2 things. First, that the great unfolding mystery that we call love and that some call God loves each of us so much that love will always go to those who are left behind or in danger. Second, we understand ourselves to be part of the great unfolding mystery called love. Most of us who are Unitarian Universalists want to be like that great unfolding mystery. We want to be love's partner and its helper. That means we are the shepherd. When everyone else is safe, we're called to notice the few who are in danger and to go out into the cold and dark to be with them. Love doesn't rest and wait. Love, in the form of the shepherd, leaves comfort behind to be a helper. As the children and their religious leaders depart for religious exploration, let us think of them on their way with As You Go. And
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go, to nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go.
the ritual of sharing our sorrows and our joys invites us to hear one another and heal one another. You are invited briefly to share great losses or milestones. If you are in the sanctuary, I invite you to share your name and your joy or sorrow from the mic in front. And if you are online, I invite you to share your joy or sorrow in the chat box, and we will give each one a voice. As you share, we will place a stone from the dry bowl into the bowl of water.
Good morning. Happy holidays, everyone. My name's John, and I bought a house last night, so pretty jazzed about that. But there's some work to be done, and but I have time now that I'm retired. So anyway, another part of the journey. And I guess, what are the major stresses in life? Getting married, moving, and...
job, and getting divorced.
Oh, yeah. So I think I did 3 of those. So.
I'm going to step aside from the podium to give you my sorrow and joy. I have a student, a Pilates student and friend who is 92, and I've known her for about 10 years, and she fell and she broke her hip about 2 weeks ago, and the joy, so that's the sorrow that she's going through, that pain and difficulty, but the joy is that she's recovering and that her Pilates made her strong. The physical therapist commented on it, so I'm just really very heartened to see her rebounding. And Jim, are there any comments online? We will place one more stone for all those joys or sorrows we hold in our hearts, especially those still too tender to be shared aloud. And now, join us in a moment of silence as you are called.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea.
The reading this morning is Lot's Wife by Katha Pollitt. Yes, that Lot from the Bible. Trudging behind the broad backside of God, she hums her useless tune. Oh, little black dress in the back of the closet, who will crush you now against his chest? Green Italian boots in a midnight window, a scrabble of rats, a hand lit from within like a tulip. Who dashes down that street to meet her lover? Who sits in the movie theater, coiled, silent, a black cat? The dark-eyed daughters idly stroke their breasts. A jackal crouches in a shadow, hungry for salt. At the base of a dune that heaves to the black horizon, a palm tree shrugs its shoulders as if to say, well, what did you expect?
The title of the sermon comes from a song from Jesus Christ Superstar. Can we start again, please? And the disciples are singing, like, why can't we start this whole thing over? Jesus has been captured. He is doomed to be crucified. And they want to fix the whole thing and redo it all. And the very last song is John 19:41. And that last song comes after, well, I'm sure you know the story, but if you don't, spoiler alert, Jesus dies in the end. But John 19:41 is the Bible verse that tells us about the tomb where Jesus' friends took him to be buried. The song's significance is its hint to the resurrection and then all that comes after. So the play and the movie end right there at everything that's left to come. The dramatic irony is that we don't need to be told the rest of the story. We are living it. No matter one's nationality or beliefs, the story of Jesus, and no matter its interpretation, well-meaning or cruel, is known. It was years after my parents' divorce, the summer after my 10th grade year, moving into yet another house, when my sister and I found an old turntable and a box of records. Inside was that iconic brown album with the Golden Angels. And we'd grown up in the Episcopal Church, baptized, taking communion, but after the divorce, we drifted from church. My sister and I rebelled against anything patriarchal. We weren't going to kneel to any father. Nothing Jesus-y for us, thank you. But we knew Weber. We'd seen Cats at the National Theater, and we did what teenagers in the 80s were apt to do. We smoked some pot and lay on the floor, on the carpet, on our backs, and listened to the album back to back, side after side, and we were astonished. After that, we watched the movie and we swooned over Ted Neely as Jesus and Carl Anderson as Judas. And later, my senior class girlfriends and I listened to What's the Buzz as we got ready to go to school. And we learned the choreography to the temple dance. And later still, I wore my red cowboy boots to a production when the tour came through Richmond. And then I played it every Easter. The music and lyrics reshaped the story. It brought it closer to Jesus. It isn't that I accept Jesus as my Lord and personal Savior. I don't need a Lord, and saving, I'll talk about that part a little bit later. But yet the Superstar story brought me closer to Jesus the revolutionary, to the man of deep faith and big vision. I'd like to tell you about the theologian named Henry Nelson Weinman and process theology. Weinman asks that when engaged in religious inquiry, we liberate ourselves from any specific set of ideas He says that we should be directed to what operates in the human life and not what lies beyond it. I think he's saying that we should be connected to what is happening right here around us, rather than worrying so much about what happens when we leave this world. Because if we ignore our obligation right here and now, and I believe it is an obligation, to one another and to everything pulsing within this life, then we are missing something. Weinman says history was cut in half when Jesus was born, just as it was with the creation of the atom bomb. That is the process part. He says that Jesus didn't hand something down to his disciples, but rather he was a catalyst, an agent, and the events that grew out of this experience. He says, like a neutron, Jesus broke the atomic exclusiveness in those individuals so that they were deeply and freely able to receive the message. So there was something that was broken open that the disciples shared with this man, Jesus, that they were able to receive this message at this time. It's like that all cards are lined up phenomena. Jesus was at the right time in history. He had the right Hebrew heritage, the right location, the right message of love over power when a small group of poor people on the margins, oppressed by the powers of both the Romans and the corrupt high priests, had the capacity to hear the message of God and the revolution and act on it. That's fascinating. To explain the resurrection, Weinman says that the people became aware that Jesus wasn't the Messiah they had hoped for, but after he died on the cross, the disciples felt the same way that they did when Jesus was alive. Something rose up in them, as did the lessons that he taught. So the rising up was the remembering of the stories that were taught and the remembering of Jesus. And so he came alive again inside them, and then they knew that they must tell the stories. They must spread the word, the logos. They must spread God. So it was Christ, the God resurrected, and not Jesus, the man, and Weinman's idea. And this theology makes sense to me because it aligns with my understanding of historical revolutions closer to my lifetime, when power suppresses and spurs righteous human purpose. The abolitionists, the civil rights movement, the farm workers, Black Lives Matter, and this current movement that we haven't named yet. It's the beginning of something. We are on the brink of some turning point. And whether things turn in my lifetime or not, I do not know. The danger I see for us now is that the earth is literally shifting beneath us and the skies are storming above us. So many of us have already migrated out of our hearts and into our heads or into our machines. Some, like the Christian nationalists, have twisted Jesus' theology so that power can be retained by a few. Again, the oppression that Jesus the Zealot fought against is weaponized in his name. And what angers me is that this twisting, co-opting of the stories of Jesus are our stories. As Unitarian Universalists, it is our history too. We are the revolutionaries. We are the justice seekers. We are the ones crossing streets to love our neighbors as ourselves. The Christian nationalists are the ones who, even in the Old Testament, made God so angry it caused hellfire, and the prophet Amos to holler, "Let justice roll down like waters and the righteousness like an ever-flowing stream." These ancestral stories are ours, just like the American flag is ours. And we shouldn't let the hateful in this country take them away without a fight. The book of Daniel was written before the Common Era, BCE, in the 2nd century, in 12:1 through 3. Many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And those who are wise shall shine like the brightness of firmament, and those who turn many to righteousness are like stars forever and ever. Perhaps we've all been lulled to sleep by our self-centering religious interpretations, our consumerism, our disconnection, even our heightened sense of righteousness, where it could use some humility. And shouldn't we want to wake up when the earth is screaming in our ears, when our beloveds here on earth cry out from televisions and phones, when our ancestors' hurts and fights are being buried under the rubble of hate? Woke. Let's say woke, because the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said to the Unitarian Universalist in 1966 when he delivered the Ware Lecture, "Don't sleep through the revolution." He told our kin, don't sleep through the revolution. And it applies to us now. We can't fall asleep when our president has ordered troops into the Capitol and to other states and threatens the democratic elections. And the killing machines are too easy to purchase. Well, let me lighten things up just a bit. Because Jesus Christ Superstar is so ingrained in my psyche, I wrote a short story using the musical as a backdrop. The story stars Libby, who, like many of us, hoped to recreate herself in college. She lands the part in the chorus, both singer and dancer, but her transformation is thwarted when her neighbor shows up to play the part of Judas. And Libby worries that he knows too much of her knock-kneed past. The story takes place on opening night, just 10 minutes before curtain. There are a lot of trysts, as one would expect from a college-age cast. Cool and sexy Mary Magdalene, wild Simon, Peter who betrays all his lovers, and even Jesus, that do-gooder, isn't left out of the folly. At the end of that story, I wrote, and this is yet another spoiler, that Jesus had been giving kisses to the cast during rehearsal for good luck. And on opening night, he worries that he'll run out of mouth moisture for one opening song. So he decides to kiss Libby as a good luck kiss for everybody. And boy, is it a doozy. They are still kissing when the director calls places. It's pretty silly, but it's a love story, at least the beginning of one. The Jesus Story, the musical, allowed me to explore elements of love and goodness and grace and redemption, and of course, some good sinning. And while I don't want to imply that anyone needs someone else to show up and save them, there is something to allowing ourselves to be loved, to open our hearts and let love wash over us. Loving one's neighbor as oneself is a reminder, not just for the neighbor, but for feeling worthy of love, for feeling worthy of being loved. Returning to the theology of salvation, soteriology is what it's called, soteriology. Our ancestors broke from Calvinism, who thought salvation was for a few, and our universalist ancestors claim salvation was for all. The liberal interpretation of the salvation story is that human beings need to be saved from the consequences of human sin, not God's wrath. The theologist Rebecca Parker tells us that Jesus saves by the beauty of his life and teachings, by incarnating God's presence. It's Rebecca Parker who said, "We have the capacity to save each other." You may have heard that before in sermons. We have the capacity to save each other. And I feel like that's what I do every day at work as a chaplain. But there's nothing that's going to come and save somebody. They don't have to say one last thing or do one good deed. We are there to be with one another and bear witness to one another's pain and hurt and come alongside each other. So it's not about fixing. It's just about loving and being witness and watching as someone goes through one of the worst times of their life or transitions out of this life and into the next. So, not saving by fixing, and not in a white savior sort of way either, but we do this when we pass the basket, when we sing the children to their religious exploration classes, when we respond to one another asking for food or a meal train. This is action. It's action and it's love. We listen when someone is hurting, when we stop to push what we think is of utmost importance and just slow down and look around us and see other people. Not only those in our immediate sphere of daily doings, but all people, and love them for who they are and for who they can become. I love this devotion from other Christian interpretations that our faith holds too, as well as the idea of process theology, the divine as creative genius, aligning characters and a plot, just so. It's the end of the sermon, but like all allegories and all stories, it's the beginning too. It hopes for what's next. The hymn, yes, and later coffee hour. It's the movie you'll see with a friend today, or the laundry you must wash and fold. And it's beyond that, to where your faith is leading you alone in the quiet of your heart, or brazenly with locked arms and throats full of righteous indignation as you march in the streets. The reason the Jesus story endures is because it's our story. The zealots, the revolutionaries, the dreamers, the ones who keep getting back up and are always willing to start again in love. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Jennifer. It is time for our offering. We have received freely of gifts that minister to our needs of body and spirit. May we now gladly give a portion of that bounty. 2/3 of the cash offering will support our congregation, while the remaining 1/3 will go to support our justice cause. This month, our justice cause is Laws. Laws has been providing domestic violence and sexual assault services in Loudoun County free of charge since its founding in 1984. They offer emergency shelter, therapy, advocacy, support groups, legal services, and support to victims of violence. They also run the Children's Advocacy Center for Loudoun County, helping children who have faced abuse or violence. You can also visit or donate to their thrift store, the Resourceful Woman, located in Leesburg. If you are in the sanctuary, you may place your donation in the baskets as they are being passed around. Online attendees can use the donate button in the virtual order of service. Donations may also be made by mail or via the donate tab on the UUCS homepage. And then also in the order of service, there is a QR code that will lead you to the donate tab. Please note when your donation is towards your pledge. Thank you for your generosity to our congregation and to our community.
Thank you for your generosity. So can we start again, please? The question feels so loaded. Tim Rice asks the question near the end of the musical in Jesus Christ Superstar, the question of the disciples. Was it all a mistake? The revolution and this fight for justice, is this all a mistake? I think now of starting again 250 years ago and asking the founders of this country to be more specific about what they meant. And I long for the word sanctuary to mean just that. Something that we all have every time we walk through these doors. Sanctuary. Something that we can carry out into the world as we leave. So as we go into the day, let's go forward as spiritual people, holding all our values like armor. Remember the words of Daniel, and shine like the brightness of firmament, like stars, like superstars, forever. So go in peace, friends. Practice love, practice resilience and resistance also. May it be so. Let's rise and body your voice and sing our closing hymn, Woyaya. And this is number 1020 in the Teal Hymn Book.
And we will get there. Heaven knows where we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Woyaya, 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 woyaya. We're all going. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Woya, woyaya, 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 woyaya. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know we will. We'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. As we conclude our service, you are invited to reach out your hearts and hands into the space of this community, to join in a virtual circle inclusive of all. First, let us extinguish our chalice while we carry forth its light in our hearts. Please join us in our covenant. This congregation is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences and beneath all our diversities, there is a unity that binds us together and makes us one in spite of time and death in the space between the stars. We pause now in silent witness to that unity. We'll see you next week.